Morning, Wellers. You're with Angie on Well Now, and I'd like to say thank you for joining us today. We were to have a special guest, Tracy Jewell, coming on today, but with all the things that had happened over the last few days with the developments with the government and stuff, she's had to take some time out and reorganise her business and all of the things that are happening. So we're going to get her on hopefully by the end of the month, and she will share with us some of her story. So we were kind of going to dive into what everyone else is talking about, which I cannot stand, but we're going to do it. We're going to do it. And we've called upon Indigo-grace, who also has a show on One Life, DRN1, and it's called My Story with Indigo-grace. And so we invited her on to have a chat. Is that right, Indigo? Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you. It's called Your Story.
Oh, your story. I'm telling you
Your
my
story with Indigo-grace.
Your story. I knew it was about the stories of others.
But actually today I am telling my story.
Oh, there you go. And Indigo's on a bit later at midday, I think.
Midday,
so
yeah.
So she'll be chatting about her story, because a lot of people are in self-quarantine and they're doing all the right things, and so it's putting us all not under pressure, but it's asking us to look at things in a different way. And I know with Russell, the CEO, what do I call you, Russ? The CEO of the company, of
The producer. I call him my producer.
You can call me whatever.
Everything.
It's all.
I just so we've all been asked to look at things in a different way, which is really cool. I mean, it makes us think differently. It assesses, stuff that's happening in our life. So the topic today with Tracy was going to be about her story and her journey through maths and how that caused the anxiety and depression. So I thought we'd touch a little bit on that, because there's probably a lot of people out there feeling a bit anxious. I understand anxiety from my own personal experience, and also how we can help ourselves moving through that. And there's probably so much information out there, and I'm sure of that. So hopefully we can all together touch on some things that might be a little bit different, to sort of wake up to a new way of being. So coronavirus, Indigo, I just thought I'd touch base. Have you been chatting to a lot of people about this interesting virus that's moving through the planet?
I have actually.
And we can't sort of ignore it, can we?
No, not really. And I've just actually returned from Melbourne. So I don't really have to be in self-quarantine, but I am. However, I'm still seeing clients because I can have the distance, within my treatment room.
Sure.
I don't have to be hands-on.
Yeah.
But
That's
also
with Reiki, wasn't it?
Well, it's actually shamanic energy healing.
Yep.
So we can do that by distance. So I can do it online, but I can also do it from the safe distance within my treatment room as well.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, well, that's cool, and that's a lot of energy healers can do that, but I think everyone, a bit like yourself, they're kind of taking precautions and saying, look, I'm just going to stay at home because it's the safest way, and you don't know. Well, the interconnectedness has come up again with many people about, I don't know if I'm going to visit someone today, I don't know who they've connected with and who's connected with them and who's connected with them. So I was watching the other night, because I do not know what's happening, and I don't know of any of the updates. It's only what people are letting me know, my family or friends.
Okay. Right.
So I have no idea, but I do know that it's probably a better idea, and I do listen to my intuitive sort of self. But I also know that it's just, I'm just going to not hang out with people that I don't normally hang out with at this time, because it's going to change. But I was watching on I did catch a snippet about one of the politicians has it. And he had no symptoms for 15 days or whatever, but he was sitting, and what they said was he was sitting next to another politician who had it, but he got really sick. And they said that you either have to be in the presence of someone for about 20 minutes and in close contact chatting and being with them, or in a room with them for an hour. So I'm assuming that it's quite airborne or something, but I don't know.
Yes.
Yes. So
it's like a normal flu I say that very loosely. I'm not a medical doctor, but from what I understand, it's like a normal flu where it attaches to
Yeah.
moisture
It's
droplets
respiratory.
or whatever
Yeah.
the correct term
way-
is,
yeah,
the
yeah.
moisture droplets in the air.
Which was
So
interesting. Yeah.
it's airborne, but it's also through actual touch.
Yeah.
So that's why door handles and
yeah. Okay.
petrol
Everything.
pump handles and all those things
Yeah. Yeah.
are hotspots, because it's where people, if they haven't coughed into their arm, or
Yeah.
if they've coughed on their hand or touched their face or their tongue, or whatever it is, and then it's shared and it stays. I forget the exact. There's a whole list of how long the virus stays alive
Active.
on different surfaces.
Yeah, it's steel, metal, and doorknobs. Basically, it will stay on for 24
best.
hours.
Interesting.
The wood
Glass.
and like there's some things that can't stand. Like I'm trying to get the actual thing at the moment, but I believe like plastic, it can stay on for 3 hours. Cardboard, it can stay on for 9 weeks.
Wow.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's really and think of that, like it can stay on cardboard. Now, one of the things that we use to ship things around this world is cardboard boxes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
everything
Wow,
that comes.
that's quite intricate, isn't it? The way that
Yeah.
they've assessed all of that.
So that's where the gloves come in really handy. So if you're opening up boxes and things, use gloves, especially if you deliveries from
Anywhere.
like eBay, any kind
Yeah.
of course. But where there's been anyone else touching that box, potentially it has the virus attached to it.
Yeah.
So using gloves to receive it and open it. And
Okay.
opening the package itself. So, and then you probably want to use some wipes or a disinfectant spray, or
Yeah. Okay.
depends how
All
far
right, that's interesting.
really.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. We can go on forever, and I don't want
We
to
could.
because I think it's just not important to keep rehashing. But what I will ask you, Indigo, is, are you finding that people are not coming along? I mean, obviously you have probably regular clients, but you're finding that people are sort of, keeping safe and staying at home, and if they are coming to you, is it based around fear of this, or is it just like a
I think there's a couple of things at the top of the list, and that is the fear around catching the virus or transmitting the virus.
Yeah.
And the second one is our income. So
yes, beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I'm just saying beautiful because I see it on a collective scale. That's all. And
exactly.
how it's shifting.
Yeah.
So
and so I personally have actually offered a significant discount at this time, because it's a knock-on effect. So I want to support people in this time where, ironically, this is one of those times where we're not as busy as we normally are. And so it's a perfect opportunity to actually work on our wellness.
Yeah, isn't it?
So if there's people who've got issues, they can go and be in contact with either, whoever their chosen healthcare person is or wellness person is, be it online or in person, given the situation. But I often have people say to me that they haven't got the time to, deep dive into their stuff. But there's never a perfect time.
Now.
So I've offered a very significant discount because I want to support other people who are in exactly the same position that I'm in, where we all need an income. And I also do barter. I've been in the barter for a long time now, and it's a really beautiful way to exchange energy and services.
It is, and I think working in energy healing, as I have done in the past myself, or any sort of energetic work, the barter system works beautifully. And I think it's funny because I started off this thing on Facebook years ago now. It was called CEE, Central Energy Exchange. And it was about just exchanging your gift, your talent, whether it's tiling or painting or singing or with each other instead of the cash or exchange of income. So the barter system, look, Indigo, I think it might be coming back in because there
I
might
do
not
see.
be any other way.
Yeah, I do see a return to basics, and I think
Yes.
the barter system is a beautiful way of exchanging. It is a currency, but
It is.
it's you work out what things are worth to you, and you
Yes.
can ask for what it is you'd like in exchange.
And it's also asking
People can
about,
offer what they have.
yeah. And it's probably asking us to assess our own worth. So,
Absolutely.
and how much, not that you can put a monetary system on it, but I suppose you start looking at it in a very different way. But I suppose on a collective, and this is how I see it, well, the virus anyway, it's really bringing up some deep-seated issues for the individual. And so when something changes, as I talk like this with you because I know you understand, as something changes individually, it changes collectively, and
Absolutely.
and so there's a lot of us, like you said, it was financial and catching it. So catching it leads to death. So our two greatest fears, probably as a human race at this time on the
Potentially.
planet. Yeah, potentially. But that's the fear of catching it, is that they're going to their mortality. So I've been faced with my mortality, so I don't have a problem with passing. And I was chatting to this with Russell earlier, but also the financial. So it's like a lot of these people are being thrown into the throes of really having to deep dive into how they're feeling about their mortality. And also on for some people, financial, it might be even worse than dying, like losing all their money or so collectively it looks like there's a big shift happening on those two sort of fronts, and not just for the individual, but for big business, big company.
What I'm enjoying seeing is the radical change already. I think it's radical anyway, in the environment. We've seen things
Yes.
coming in from Venice, for example, about dolphins returning, the water clearing.
Yes.
I believe there's some footage. I don't know whether it's from outer space or where it's from, like satellites, about the pollution over, I think it's over China, that it's clearing.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, because of the shutdown of industry, the
Really.
it's getting a chance to recover, and it's responding quickly. And I think that's a really important point to notice about the Earth or the planet and our own bodies, is that when we give it optimum environment or optimum opportunity, we respond quickly.
Yes.
Yeah, it's even with smoking. If you read about the way the lungs repair once you stop smoking, it's actually really quickly. So the body is, as we know, constantly replenishing and repairing itself, and so these changes can actually happen remarkably quickly.
Yes.
And I shouldn't be surprised, but it was something that I was, surprised to see just how quickly the world or the planet is responding to the changes.
And that's a beautiful way to see it as well.
Quickly.
Because it is as well. Our, the body is very similar to the planet, and as we heal self and as we rest from all of this stressful life and living, as we rest and stop and allow our nervous systems, our minds, our hearts to sort of center within self, then the earth will naturally do that. And hopefully people will see that. Hopefully people will see and notice that if this what we do as a collective or as an individual, look at what happens for ourselves, look at what happens to the earth, which is, it's a beautiful thing to focus on.
And you see, the earth hasn't forgotten its truth. The earth, it knows its purity, and it is always trying to shine.
Mm-hmm.
And us as humans, with our struggle with our brain, as opposed to our wisdom, our knowing, our wisdom, we get stuck with our negative beliefs of who we are and what we are and our safety and all of those things. So we actually interrupt our physical ability to heal and to know our truth. And so imagine using this time for mental wellness, address those negative core beliefs that occur for us either from childhood or through, you know, our life, and removing those energy blocks or those negative thoughts, negative beliefs, and creating the environment like the earth has, where there's nothing in the way for it to actually return to its truth, to return to shining.
Absolutely.
Amazing, huh?
Yeah, it is amazing. And we have sort of, this is just part of our evolution, part of the way that we're moving forward on the planet, and this is how it's been brought about, and that's fine. It's just the way it is. It is what it is, and I'm not taking that with any sort of, you know, any disrespect, because I understand that there are people out there that are very stressed and in panic and in anxiety, financially, mortality. How am I going to support my family? How are we going to live together in the house? All those sorts of. I don't know if you've seen those memes on Facebook, and they go, "I choose A or B," and before they say B, they're like,
Yeah.
I choose B,
I've seen
whatever
it.
else B is.
Yeah. Home at home with the family. A.
Or
B.
But look, and I'm not taking it lightly, but to be honest, I'm doing what is necessary myself, but I have a deep sense of knowing that all will be well, and it may take longer than I expect or want it to, because I've got things to do, but it will pass. And when it passes, it's just about shifting and changing. Like when someone in your life that's very close to you passes, and you have to move into a new way, because we're like shedding the old. We're like moving into a new way of living on the planet. I'm not going to say we're going to turn into Hare Krishnas or, start meditating and all wanting to, vibrate on the 5D frequency or whatever else people are saying. What I am saying is, though, that everyone's life is going to shift, even if it's a micro millimeter or whatever I want to say. It's all going to shift, and I have a deep sense that it's all shifting for the betterment, and I have a deep sense of knowing and feeling. It's not excitement, it's a gratitude, and it's a thankfulness of what is to come, because as the human race, I really feel that we are moving in a direction, and although it doesn't look like it on the outside, of really feeling free and being free of all this external shit, when we're actually going inside and seeking our truth. And that's how I see it anyway. I really feel we're moving towards a really different world.
Absolutely. Now, I have family members, immediate family members, that are immune suppressant, immunosuppressant. So there's very real risk, incredibly real risk for them.
Yes.
However, I also completely believe in the power of our mind and our energy body. I don't just believe it, I know it, because the work that I do and what I witness, it cannot be denied. And I've had people come to me that are skeptical, and they walk out believers, absolutely, because of what they've experienced.
Yeah, beautiful.
But I also, because I'm also a counsellor, psychotherapist, I look at the psychology of things and the medical side of things, as well as the Eastern philosophies. And what we do know categorically is about the placebo effect.
Yes.
That can be used in a negative sense, where people, and this has been shown, that people who believe they've been given something that's going to make them unwell become unwell. They haven't been given, they will develop the symptoms, even though they haven't been given whatever it is, the trial is.
Yes.
Or they'll develop the side effects if they think that they're taking something
Yes.
For a certain condition, but they will develop the side effects even though they're only taking the placebo. And for those that don't know what a placebo is, it means that it's you're taking a tablet that is actually not
A sugar pill or something.
Exactly, yeah. So, or a medication of some kind, receiving treatment of some kind that you're told may or may not be this medication. And so what I'm getting at is that we still don't know the power of our brains.
No.
And I do believe that there will be that sort of placebo effect happening with this virus. So when we're in fear, fear-based living, we can manifest it. And
yes.
I'm not going to go on and on about that because it's very, very real for so many people. And as I said, it's a very real risk, for my absolute immediate loved ones.
Okay. Yep.
So I don't want to, minimize the risk.
Not at all. Yep.
But this is proven. So the point I'm trying to make about that is that if we maintain positivity, and if we address unconscious beliefs around safety and health and well-being and the world being a safe place and so on, then we can actually move our body out of a fear state and more into the love or the light, whatever you want to call that.
Yeah.
And into a more positive,
like a wellness state.
Yeah. I don't like to get too hooked up in all the woo-woo wording because I think it really puts people off. I can do that, but it's actually not really necessary because we're actually talking about science. It's physics,
Yeah, look, I totally agree. I mean, there are so many different languages to speak it in science and spirituality, and it'll all connect to different people at different times. I love woo-woo. I am woo-woo, and I love science. It's really...
me too.
Yeah, it is. And I do say love and light, and I don't give a shit if that makes people feel uncomfortable. I'm not saying that life is all about love and light. Love and light is just basically means that we're energy and that we have the power to, like you're saying, to shift that energy into a way. And that turns into quantum physics. And that's about moving the energy in a different way, for different vibrational field, which I've got a guest on next week talking about. But, this is actually a time where we can, focus, because we're with self, we're learning about our bodies. And like you said, we are learning about what's holding what is the fear that I'm holding on to, because we have the immediate family in our homes or just ourselves, whoever we may be with. So we actually get to know ourselves on a really deep level on what's triggering these fears. What am I thinking? We get to start to learn about our energy field and our energies and what it takes for us to feel balanced. I was saying to Russell earlier, for about 3 years prior to 2020, I've been in self-isolation because of a lot of grief and trauma in my life. And I went through depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, all of that darkness. And I was like, this year I'm going, yes, I'm feeling good. I'm going to go out and meet people. And it's like, oh, no, universe, God has a different idea at the moment. But what I believe is that we'll actually get to know ourselves really well, our energies, our mind. We have a potential here to get to know ourselves so well that when we step out into the world again, connecting with others, this is where the energetics and the idea of how someone else feels, like you really get to know. Does that make sense? You really get to know your energy system. You really get to know what you are, who you are, how you vibrate or what frequency you're on. So when you meet other people that are not on quite your vibe, so that gut instinct, that intuition will be heightened. So
Absolutely.
So another gift, I mean, because I had cancer 20 years ago now, but the gift that gave me, because there is a gift in everything, there is an opportunity in everything. And I know that it is not, I'm not saying that this is something light, because there are people that are very compromised at this time. And this is giving us the opportunity to open up our minds and our hearts to clearing away that fear. But I think there are gifts in such trauma and drama on a personal and global scale. So
yes,
yeah. So if we
why
can,
can't it be global?
I'm sorry.
Well, why can't it be global?
Yes.
And what I mean is, many people approach their life when they experience something from a position of it's a life lesson, it's a soul lesson.
Yes.
So just because it's a global, at the same time kind of situation, why can't it still be approached by life lesson, soul journey? Just it's a pandemic, and to look at it from a questioning point of view. This Mother Nature trying to tell us something?
Absolutely, it is. It's just moving us in a way that, for my belief system anyway, is moving us in a way that we've asked to be moved into. We've obviously asked for it to be a crash bang sort of movement, but we're
I think
still asked.
I think it's come to crunch time.
It is. It has. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I wanted to ask, because you are a psychotherapist, Indigo-grace,
Yes.
and I suppose from a point of view of someone's, sitting on the other side, understanding the mechanics of the mind, and is just different ways for those people like you and I know intrinsically that all is well, we are safe, and we have the power of the mind to shift our energy, our mind. But for those that are in the throes or in the middle of the anxiety, in the middle of sort of despair, what are some simple tools that we can share with them? Because I'll share mine from my experience, but I would really love to hear from you about what some of the tools practical that they could use when they are in this headspace.
Yes. So,
and body space, the whole space. It's really
exactly. I think recognizing the level of stress or anxiety that the mind and or the body is in, and really understanding whether it's high stress, low stress, or sort of somewhere in between, and then addressing that first and foremost, and because if we're in an anxious state, there's not a lot we can do until we calm that down.
yes, yeah,
mind,
absolutely.
calm the nervous system down.
Yep.
So most people know the things that help them to calm down. Obviously, exercise is a good one, and we ask to go outside and exercise.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be hardcore. It can just be going for a walk and connecting to Mother Nature, appreciating the trees and the birds and the sunshine and so on. Breath. Our breath is really I know that some of these things can seem really simplistic.
Yes.
And we hear them over and over and over
We
again
do.
from healthcare providers of any kind.
But they work.
But that they're recommended because it actually is what works. So focusing on our breathing, taking longer, deeper breaths to try and calm the nervous system. And this is so that we can actually start to do the work.
Yes.
If we don't calm the system, then we can't do the work, and or at least balance it out a little bit. And sort of like a seesaw, bring it back in at least to some sort of balance where there's a little bit of anxiety, but there's still space for us to do the work. So the breath and meditation. Now, a load of people loads of people don't know how to meditate, and that's okay. And fortunately, there's tons of it online, podcasts and all sorts of things. It could just be, focusing on your breath while playing some music that you find incredibly soothing. So it doesn't have to be a guided meditation. Just, you work out what suits you at any given time. And then the other thing that works is journaling. Now, this isn't about, dear diary. It's not about writing a book. It might just be grabbing a scrap of paper in the midst of a anxious moment and writing out how you feel. Like,
cool.
I'm feeling really sick in my stomach right now. And getting it out of you onto paper or saying it to someone. So writing it is a little bit like having talking therapy. It's immediate. You've got access to that straight away.
Yeah.
But having a book that you use to write all your stuff in is a great thing. And
that sounds,
carry it around with you. You can keep it private. Lock it away if you feel like you don't want anyone to or you don't trust people to not read it. You don't have to keep it. You can burn this stuff.
Yeah.
Journaling is actually a really proven benefit for anxiety.
Wow. Cool. Okay. That's great. I didn't realize it was it was something that, I do journal, and it was something I implemented, and I've been journaling for most of my life.
Right.
But I stopped, and then I started again once I started experiencing anxiety. But that's it does. It kind of gets it as
out.
you were speaking. Yeah, it's like getting it out and allowing yourself just to feel it. To feel the emotions. I think for me, when I was experiencing anxiety, it was a big shock. So I didn't actually know what it was. My nervous system. Looking back now, my nervous system went into overload, and I just say my nervous system blew out. And I just didn't know. I didn't have the tools. I thought I did. I've been, preaching spirituality for 20 years. And I'm like, what's going on? I haven't got the tools to deal with my mind, losing my mind.
Yeah.
So for a good two years, I've been filling my toolbox with stuff that was helping me. And that journaling was probably one of the last things that I started, but it definitely helped. One of the things in the throes of it, I suppose, because I connected to a lot of Facebook, anxiety pages and stuff, and it really helped me to see other people feeling exactly the way that I was feeling. I thought, I'm not going nuts. So
I'm not alone.
Yeah. So I connected to Facebook pages. I realised that I wasn't alone, and although I didn't comment, I did actually feel peace with that. I had a list of, I call them my safe friend list. And I just would call them when I was going to that depths, because anxiety and depression, it was up and down. And so I would go to the depths of, when I realised that I was actually thinking of ways to actually leave the planet, I thought, I've got to do something about this, because this is not who I am. This is not my soul speaking. This is just the fear speaking. And it's funny because you recognise that. You recognise the thoughts and you recognise your soul, and you're like, okay, fuck this. I've got to actually sort this out. And so I rang a friend that totally understood where I was, and she talked me out of it. So I had a safe friend list. I think I only had about 3 people on that list, and I could call them at any time. And that really got me out. And they would talk me through the anxiety, help me breathe. Because living alone, it was really difficult for me to get my head and my nervous system centered.
Exactly. So getting that seesaw balanced out, where you begin to think more clearly.
Correct. And then
so
it really helped. Yeah, sorry,
I was just going to say, putting these points, writing them down, putting them on the fridge or somewhere. So the poor fridge gets covered in all sorts of things, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Putting it somewhere that's a go-to, maybe even on the bedside table.
Yeah.
Because when depending on the level of anxiety that we're in, can't think and can't remember.
Correct.
What our checklist is.
No.
Sometimes we can put it in a phone. There's all sorts of apps as well to talk ourselves through. Like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Oh, that's right. I have to sit and breathe.
Yeah.
Or I have to go for a walk. Or I know these things work for me.
Yeah.
To bring my seesaw back to level. so that then I can actually, my brain can function,
Yeah.
and I can think clearly about
Mhm.
what do I feel is the next step this time,
Yes.
because it
Yes.
might be different each time.
Mm.
And going to the GP,
Mm-hmm.
getting a mental health assessment,
Yes. All of that.
You might need medication.
Yes.
Just because I work with the Eastern stuff, I don't.
Absolutely.
Like if we
Yeah.
need medication, we need it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, if we
not
break
be
it,
all and end all,
yeah. I mean, no, it's not. If we break it down, I literally had a naturopath, I had a physio, I
Exactly.
had a GP, I meditated, I had friends.
Yeah.
I didn't have connection, which was one thing that was really, I didn't have a community of connecting to people. And when you're in these states, you kind of isolate. So connecting to Facebook was the first step, but connecting to community was really important. I did go on medication and am weaning myself off them now, but they saved my life as long as with everything else. And I'm not,
Yes.
whatever you need to get you in a state of balance, to get your life back on track is perfectly fine. And everyone is quite unique. I know Russell actually has had a bit of experience. Well, Russell has had different experience because we're all quite unique with experiencing things, anxiety, depression, whatever it is, trauma, death, grief. And Russ, I don't know if you're still listening to us.
I am indeed.
But I kind of wanted also to find out from your perspective, because you're a different person listening to this conversation we're having. I mean, does any of this resonate to you, or did you have different ways? Because did you experience anxiety and depression, or some mental imbalance? And so, what was it, things that you did at this time when you were in the throes of it, or
I think. Look, let's
what did
quickly
you? How did you cope?
by hiding a lot of the time
Yeah,
in
okay.
my before all the wake up, realize, write yourself a letter and actually realize, hang on, you don't have it too bad.
Yeah.
Bad stuff happens, move on, carry on. I hid a lot. Like, I just wanted to curl up in bed. For a long time, I think, part of anxiety, having post-traumatic stress disorder, is you don't want to be here, and that's
Yeah.
I don't want to mention the D word, but you really just don't. Like, you just wish that I've said to myself many times that, oh, this must be a simulation, this must be the Matrix, this can't be real, this has to be a dream.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, okay.
Like and then when I then I also,
So you knew something inside deeper than you was asking you to stay, but to be here and to move past this, but you didn't know what it was. So it was still like,
I think, like, okay, so let's quickly just, like, we had this talk off air. I said that I'm not scared of coronavirus. Like, I'm not.
correct.
Like,
Same.
I do not care if I get it. I do not care if it kills me. I do not care if I survive. Like, it is a I do not care scenario. Now, it doesn't mean that I don't want to survive. It doesn't mean that I don't want to live. It's just like, my time, I'm so blessed to be here. Like, I was born with a hole in my heart. I should not, if doctors didn't fix my heart, I would be dead. Let's call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
Then, as I've chatted about on Indigo's show, Your Story with Indigo-grace, I've basically nearly been killed in foster care. I was sexually abused in foster care.
Wow.
Like, I've had a drug habit for most of my adulthood.
So coronavirus is like, whatever. Next.
Yeah, like, the interesting thing about yesterday. Yesterday was the 24th of March.
Yeah.
No, January, March. Yeah, March. And that's 11 months for me sober. 11 months.
Okay.
So I'm like, I said I wouldn't celebrate till I get to 12 months.
Yeah.
But to me, like, it's just something
Celebrate every day.
Yeah, like it's like,
Russ.
hang on, I'm okay. Like, and I had this really big phone call last night with a good friend of mine, and she's like, at this time in your life, what do you want? I was like, at the end of the day, as long as I can make sure that my family is okay, That's all I care about. Like, it's not about me no more. It's about my partner and my fur babies. That is it. And I think when you can approach life in that scenario, like when you can take yourself out of the equation and go, what am I actually leaving behind if I do leave? And is everything, do I have my ducks in a row? Do I have everything ready? And I'm actually just glad that I'm looking at it this way. Like, I've been beaten, I've been down, I've been out. But if anyone thinks that they can give me a harder time now, well, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Good
yeah,
luck.
because we've been through, yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah.
I dare you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose this is what, I suppose people that haven't experienced such, such trauma or experiences in their lives, this could be one of the biggest things that they've ever faced. So their panic and anxiety is going to peak. But it's interesting how you approach life and how you see it, because whatever works for you or whatever works for us is going to be what gets us through. And I suppose this is what the self-isolation corona is going to gift us, is to really get to know ourselves. And one question I ask myself is every day is, if I left the planet today or tomorrow, if I left today, would everyone in my life know exactly how I felt about them? And the answer is yes, and it's always yes. And am I doing, if I left the planet today, did I do everything I could to make this day a good day? And it's yes, because you can only do what you can do. So I suppose in a roundabout way, it's similar to what you're saying. I mean, does everyone know that I love them and that I've got, yeah. Is everyone cared for if I leave the planet? Yeah. So
it is really interesting what you're saying, because like for me, like I've lived on Centrelink money for all of my adulthood. I've been on New Start allowance. I've been on disability support pension, and for me, my life doesn't change. Like, whether or not, like, yes, I will acknowledge that millions of people, they're estimating 1 million people will lose their jobs. 1 million people will have a very hard time. However, for people who are on Centrelink, or for people who have already suffered financial loss in their life, this is just another day. This is literally just another part of evolution for them, and a part, like, I've heard,
it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I've heard people who went to war back in the World Wars say, guys, settle down. This is not the way that you do it. Like, do your normal day. Like, go shopping when you need to do shopping. Go to, like, just do your normal things. Like, don't.
Yes.
But the thing is, I think it's not about I guess for me, if we didn't have some people high up saying and scaring the public with the words that they say and the tone that they say and the things that they are doing to try to cause fear, and they are not helping the situation. They are actually making the situation worse, because they're taking our human rights from us. They're taking our liberties. They're taking out the way that we do shopping and all that kind of stuff. And it's just like they just don't know what to do. Now, I sit on a different fence than everyone, and that is that currently in Australia they're trying to flatten out the curve to make it last as long as possible and slow down so that it doesn't put our hospitals in meltdown. My thinking is, you get it over and done with as quickly as possible and move on. Now, the weak will die, so be it. Unfortunately, I'm immune compromised. I've got HIV. Guess what? The likelihood of me dying, if I get it, is
high.
80%. It's 80%.
Okay.
So I'm sorry if I can be like, let's just get this over and done with, because the longer it goes, the more risk of reinfection. There's like, it's just a flu. You can get the flu multiple times. They've come out in China just yesterday, saying you can get this coronavirus multiple times. Your body does not build up a very strong resistance to it. It lasts for about 3 months. So people who got infected day one are now getting infected again. So look, I'm just very different, I guess.
Yeah,
Get
I
it over
think
and done with.
yeah, fair enough. I mean, I
Be
think
positive.
yeah, look,
You'll survive.
We can all be as well as we can and do the best we can with the knowledge and the tools that we have. If you don't have any tools or you've got limited tools, just I suppose the best advice we can give is just to seek tools, seek out connection with others. We live in an age of, look at this. I mean, we're connecting via, telephone link, and because because of the coronavirus, but we're still connecting, and it's so important to keep connections alive. One of the tools that I've given myself over this time is to ring someone every day, to actually give them a phone call and talk to someone instead of text, message, TikTok, whatever the else that we bloody use, email. Actually connect. So every day I find someone to talk to, and I'll ring them, and they're probably blown out of the water because they're like, why are you calling me? But it's about keeping connection with the outside. And it doesn't mean that we can't go to the park or to the beach or to outside our garden. We're not self-isolated within a house. I just see these lockdowns and I'm like, seriously, people. I mean, you can go out your front door. You can actually go to the park. You can go for a walk until they say we can't. But even then, we can still do things that can lift our spirits. Using the words positive and negative, I mean, I know they're just words. It's hard to use other ones, but just to keep ourselves well, keep ourselves thinking of things that will make us feel good. And that's what it comes down to, is just helping us feel as best as we can. And every day is going to be different, and every person is different. Indigo-grace has different ways. She's got people in her life compromised, but also your energy healer. So you know intrinsically all will be well, but it's navigating it with, God, you must have a plethora of tools to work with. And Russell, you're dealing it with in your own way, and I'm doing it with mine. So I suppose the message for me is anyone out there, however you're working with this sort of experience or challenge, we can call it, because it is a challenge. There's no big deal. Challenges are challenges. It's just about seeking the opportunities within them, and sort of not beating yourself up if you're not fucking going, oh, I'm happy and well, I'm sad, but just feeling your feelings and just going, it's okay.
I think something that's important to acknowledge is that, for example, with Italy being the first worst case scenario, is that they didn't have the knowledge or the wisdom, the heads up that we do. And so it looked completely different.
Yes.
I do also know, I was listening to ScoMo and a doctor representing all the doctors in Australia yesterday.
An expert, they're called, the experts.
Yeah. It very, very quickly can go south really badly if we don't follow these guidelines. And the guidelines, we are fortunate that we have these guidelines.
Absolutely.
Because of what the other countries have been through.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to minimize the reality of what has happened and what is actually possible, whether it's based through, fear or whatever.
Yeah.
But, the virus is real.
Yes.
Happening. It has taken many lives, and that's a tragedy. And we are in a position of foresight, and if we are able to practice, good hygiene and safe distancing and all those things that really aren't that big a deal, in order to help keep the population who are at greatest at risk, safe as well, then I think that's actually a sign of who we are as a person. That we are thoughtful and grateful and compassionate and selfless. Rather than just saying, oh, I don't care, it's it's all a bit of hype and so on, or she'll be right, mate. So it is a very real thing. But then we are also in this beautiful position where we can reflect on, like you were saying initially when we were speaking, what is our position? Where is our anxiety? And reflect on ourselves using this as that catalyst, as that opportunity to do so, help raise the vibration of us as a people. Doesn't need to buy into fear mongering and scare tactics and
absolutely
panic and mass, mass panic. Yeah.
I think it's important to note that at the end of the day, yes, obviously the guidelines are put in place, and we do have the foresight of what has happened. I suppose it's like anything to do, like on a global or a personal level. When someone's gone through anxiety or something, they can help you because they understand it. So we've just seen Italy, and all of this stuff now has been put in place for us. So basically, we're learning from that, and really all we can do is what we can do to the best of our ability. And if that means, and listening to the guidelines, definitely, Indigo-grace, I think it is important, and not needing to put any extra, pressure on yourself or any others, and being compassionate and kind. But that's what we're all getting down to, really. It's just really about the compassion, the truth of a human, which is compassion, kindness, and caring, because that's who we truly are. Yeah,
yes.
And
yes.
that's all that's happening.
So we're returning.
We're just coming back. We're just unfolding the layers, and there are many of us that when I say holding the space, is they've been through shit, and we're not into. I don't watch the news because it just doesn't interest me. I know there is a virus out there. I know that it's happening, but I don't need to know the details. So what I do know is that what I do in my life each day, whether I pray, give gratitude, whether I sing and dance and laugh about, it's because I feel safe and secure with who I am as a human, and that's all I can do at this time. And I'm not going to be posting stuff on Insta or about the corona or anything to do with that. It's not because I don't care. It's because I know that there is much more to connect to at this time than the fear of a virus that is, infiltrated the earth. And that's cool.
Yeah.
That's just where it's at. And I know that there are many people compromised, very compromised. I pray for those people. I give every day. But I also know that what I can do as a human, and I hope that you two out there, are able to pray or just give thanks. When I say pray, it just means give thanks. Or, I know that some people, Russell, don't like the word prayer, or they connect it to religion. And I do have my cross on today, but it's just because I have a deep faith in the human race and a deep faith in all that we cannot see, and that all will be well. And I don't know if you've got a last message, because I think it's time to wind up. I love the human race. I love that we are doing the best we can at this time. I love the compassion and kindness and care that is out there. And I encourage those that are, that are in fear to sit still when they can, or just to listen to some music that lifts their heart, or something that makes you to feel good, just to help you at this time. This will pass, and it may take a little while, but it will. And we might come out the other end like messed up or trauma. We don't know what the end result will be, but all I know is if we can just keep a balance and keep a prayer or something, just keep yourself strong in any way that you feel possible. Do you have any last?
I see it as an opportunity. I see it as a great opportunity on a global scale for people to self-reflect.
Yeah.
Come into their heart space. We come out of greed.
Yeah.
Into the heart space. I think we've been growing exponentially in our greed and selfishness as a world, and I think all of us are needing to come back to reflect on that, reflect on who we are as a person, do our inner work, so that as a collective, as a world, as a race, as a species even, we can return to love.
Nice. Thanks, Indigo-grace. Russell, any last words before we sign out with a little bit of it?
All I've got to say is if you are, it's self-isolating, stays self-isolated. Tune into ABC News or to any of the news outlets if you do follow the news. And also, if you do have elderly people who live next door to you,
yes,
get their phone number now, just in case you want to check on them.
Great
And,
idea.
I know Indigo's pointing at her, going, plug me, plug me. So I'm going to quickly plug Indigo Rose. Gotcha. So we've got Indigo Rose coming up at 12. Your story with Indigo
Grace.
Indigo Grace? Why did I say Indigo Rose?
You keep doing it. It's so funny.
You know what Indigo Rose is? She's a singer.
Is she?
Oh.
Yeah. So anyway, Indigo Grace, your story coming up at 12 noon. So I want to thank you both for definitely Indigo for just jumping in last minute. Thank you
Yes.
so very much.
Thank you for coming along, Indigo. I really appreciate your input and your wise words. And thank you, Russell, for allowing me to have a chat about this. And I just wanted to say, to all those out there, I want to just say thank you and keep doing what you're doing and be well. And we will talk again.
Thank you for having me on.
So thank you, Indigo-grace. I appreciate your time. Thanks for everyone listening, and may you be well. Keep safe and take care. And we'll call you the Wellers. And we'll chat to you again next week. And please don't hesitate to contact us or contact. They're probably being inundated at places like if you're feeling like you need to chat. If you don't have close friends, Lifeline, Beyond Blue, places like that. Google, search. And because we are just so connected online, this is a blessing that we have at this time on our planet that we're able to connect. So please reach out if you need to. But we are all, because there will be someone there waiting to hear from you. So may you all go in peace. Thanks again, guys.